So friends, we are going to now talk about the classification of overheads on the basis of variability. We have three types of classifications. One is very important, friends. This I have to teach you again in marginal costing. Therefore, I will just confine myself to this class itself. Variability, classification of overheads according to the variability. Variable overheads, fixed overheads, semi-variable overheads. How will we identify them? Whenever you go to a business, in a factory as a cost accountant, the overheads, one we understood how we can classify them. Another one is how they can be classified according to variability. I'll just take an example to I'll give you a data. Let us analyze that data. Okay. Ayyo Rama. Oh, sorry. See, I'll give you one example. First, you should learn how to analyze some data. First step, that also I am going to train you. You apply your mind, one part. The different types of students will be there, friends. Some students just want to note down everything and go home, that's all. Now I am not, you see, I am giving you some data, you tell me how you observe that. Cost type 1, overhead. Type 2, and then type 3. We have to give names for it, that's all. And units produced, 1000 units, thousand units, 2000 units, 3000 units, 4000 units. This is the production. So let me give you a data of cost. Cost 2. Cost 3. These are the three items of costs that I put before you. Now, I want all the students to analyze. That is the behavior of the cost with the level of production. When the production is 1000 units, these costs are behaving like this. These are all in rupees and this is units. All these things. Student should write cost 1 is behaving like this. cost 2 is behaving like this. If possible, you can give example or everything I will explain. But I want to generate that discussion from you so that you will understand better. Okay. So I am giving time for you. You proceed. Now friends, if you go through this cost 1, please note down notes. Cost 1 observations. As the production is increasing, or when the production is increasing, the cost is also increasing. That is point 1. Per unit cost how much? 10. This is 10 rupees per unit. 10,000 by 1000. This is also 10 rupees per unit. This is also 10 rupees per unit. This is also 10 rupees per unit. So, second observation is the per unit cost remains constant. The per unit cost remains constant. Understand? The per unit cost remains constant. Therefore, it is called as variable cost. Therefore, it is called as variable overhead. So, variable cost is equal to total variable cost is equal to Bx. Bx, where B is constant, here 10 rupees. X is number of units produced, variable. So, the total variable cost is behaving like this. Total variable cost at 0 level 0, but it is increasing. Total variable cost. And this is X, this is units. This is costs in rupees. Production in units. This is the behavior of variable cost. Mx plus C is the straight line. So, variable overheads behave like this. Per unit cost is same. That's all. Note down. Total variable cost is equal to Bx, where B is a constant, and X is the number of units produced. Total variable cost is like this, and then variable cost per unit will be like this, straight line. This is variable cost per unit, it is constant. Over. Next item we saw fixed cost, total fixed cost remains constant. Total fixed cost remains constant at all levels. And you know, fixed cost is a capacity cost. This is a capacity cost, remains constant up to 100%. That is maximum level. Remains constant up to 100%. Then you will also observe the cost per unit falls. As the production is increasing, the cost per unit is decreasing. The behavior is like this. What is the behavior? This is the total fixed cost. Then this is the fixed cost per unit. So total fixed cost remains constant at all levels. 2. Their capacity cost remains constant up to 100% maximum level. Cost per unit falls. That is the explanation. Behavior of total fixed cost. And now I hope you understand. We go to this important one. This is cost type number 3. You will observe that both total cost is changing and cost per unit also is changing. Cost per unit, you see, cost per unit is 10, cost per unit is 7.5, cost per unit 3000s 6.67, and this is 4000s 6.25. Both are changing. So this is called semi-variable cost. What is a semi-variable cost? Both per unit cost and total cost changes. Both per unit cost and total cost changes. 2. It is a combination of, very important, combination of both fixed and variable elements. Fixed means period, time bound. Every month you have to pay rent. Variable means production based. So this is a combination of both. That means this is the fixed cost, this is the variable portion. So this is the variable portion in this is the fixed portion in this. In other words, like a total cost. Semi-variable cost is a total cost, let us say. Fixed element is constant, only variable changes. Therefore, you can find out change in cost divided by change in units. Fixed cost. So you please write a note. Semi-variable cost is a combination of both. Semi-variable cost is a combination of both variable and fixed elements. Semi-variable cost is a combination of both variable and fixed elements. Semi-variable cost is a combination of both variable and fixed elements. The fixed portion remains constant. The fixed portion remains constant, and it is the variable element changes. If you see this problem, this data, cost is 10,000 and 15,000s. 10,000 and 50,000s. So 5,000 is changing cost for every 1,000 units. For every 1,000 units. Therefore, you can also find out the fixed element. Change in cost. Change in cost is everywhere you can see. Change in cost is 5,000. change in units is 1000. Dina idana value panla 1000, that's equal to 5 rupees per unit. This is the variable element. Balance is fixed. You can see in this problem 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, take it like this. So 10,000 to 15,000, these 10,000s, 15,000s, 20,000s, 1000 units. Variable portion is 5 rupees per unit, so 5,000s. Balance should be fixed, 5,000s. When it is 2,000 units, 2,000 into 5, 10,000s, and this is 5,000s. So this is 3,000 units, 3,000 into 5, 15,000s, and this is 5,000s, 20,000s. This is called as semi-variable cost. You can find out for any levels. That is how cost is estimated. Okay friends, that is how cost is estimated. So I am sure you are getting into the subject. First we have segregated it, and so in this problem I gave the name as variable cost. Whenever it is variable cost, you should always check the per unit cost. If two levels of production you take, if per unit cost is same, it's called as variable cost. That is the rule 1. You take two levels of production. Two levels of production. Always, when you are asked to find out whether it is a variable cost, fixed cost or semi-variable cost, you should put the first question is, well, give me two levels of production. That is, you have got it. Calculate per unit cost. That is, if it is constant, that's known as variable cost. That's all. Now, then the next question is total cost remains same. That's called as fixed cost. Both per unit cost and total cost changes. That's called as semi-variable cost. These are the rules you should develop. Practically, if you are asked to find out this, you have to, first step is to take two levels of production and calculate the per unit cost. If the per unit cost is same, it's called as variable cost. If the total cost remains the same, it's called as fixed cost. Both per unit cost and the total cost vary. That's called as semi-variable cost. That's the rules. Now, variable cost itself, that means per unit cost will be same. That is 20,000s, 40,000s, 60,000s over. Fixed cost, they said that means same. Same at all levels. This is useful for you in budgets, flexible budgets, standard costing, everything, marginal costing, everything it comes. Semi-variable cost, for 1000 units, 3000 is changing. For every 1000 units, 3000 rupees will change. from the previous level. So for 1000, 3000 means 2000, 6000. So this is 24,000. 18 plus 6. This is 18 plus 3. And this is 2000, another 6. That is 30,000. Straight away you can do. Computation of semi-variable cost is very important. It is a combination of variable and fixed elements, and the fixed portion remains constant throughout the range of activity. Therefore, the incremental cost is only because of the production. Per unit cost will be same. That's all, friends. This is the classification of overheads on the basis of variability, which is very, very important for the computations. Another way they can ask you also, the company is producing 60% level. Let us say repairs and maintenance. 20,000. They will say 60% is variable. Calculate at 70%, 80%, 90% and 100%. Can you do that? I will do it. 60% variable means balance is fixed. 40% is fixed. Total cost is 20,000. Something is variable means something balance is fixed. Something is fixed means balance is variable. 60% is 12,000. 60% is 12,000. 40% will be 8,000. Remember, at this level only. Whereas variable cost will proportionately move, fixed cost will not move. So, the 8,000 only is the fixed cost. So 60,000, 12,000. So 70% how much? 12,000 divided by 60% into 70. So this is 14,000. 16,000. 18,000. 20,000. 22,000. 24,000. That's it. That is how it should be computed, friends. In budgets, they will give capacities and then ask you to find out. Flexible budgets, they will give this problem. Therefore, whatever I have explained is very important so far as this functional classification is concerned. Right. So I hope you all understand this. Then we'll go to the next topic in overheads.